Welcome back to our small farm in France. We are in the garage. Now this is Ben's garage. If you want to watch any mechanicking videos, pop over to Ben's garage channel. They all happen in here. Well, most of the time they do anyway. I've been putting out some throwback videos. When we first bought the farm, obviously the house wasn't really in the state that it's in now. The garden was massively overgrown. Then I put out another one with some of the first jobs we did. Now, when we bought this place, we still owned the other house over in Bain, in the Charente. We had log fires over there, so we was cutting up firewood here. Obviously, we was bringing stuff over in the trailer, spending the weekend here, loading it up with firewood and taking it back over to the other house. So that's what that video was, you know, Rotina on the chainsaw. We've since got rid of that. Well, I traded that chainsaw in for an air rifle. A bit random, I know, but it was too big for either of us. My tree felling days are over. Since being in the wheelchair, I have felled a couple of trees in the wheelchair, and it was a little bit sketchy. If it goes wrong and you need to get out of the way quick, in the wheelchair it's not ideal. So I have done some small ones which were about that round. We've still got the top handle saw, but that big one, it was too much for Tina, and it was too much for firewood. You know, it's a pro saw. So anyway, that was that video. But in this video, I'm going to go over some disasters that we've encountered along the way since owning this place. Now, whether they are disasters through stuff we've bought that has not been fit for purpose. I have done videos on these on our other channels, or other disasters in the place. So I've got about 3 items that will probably be showing up in this video. Now the first one, when we got here, the grass, we don't think the place had been lived in for 4 to 5 years, and the grass was waist high, and it's sort of like, well, what are we going to do to cut this grass? Now, we'd already bought the Range Rover, so we had the L322, the TD6. Now, I kept looking and looking for, well, we couldn't, until we sold the old house. We had enough money to buy this place and some other bits and pieces, but we didn't want to plough too much money until we sold the other house. So I said, well, we've got the Range Rover, how about one of these tow-behind flail mowers? I was doing research for days, weeks, months, settled on one, and it came from the UK on a pallet. This is pre-Brexit, obviously. You had to assemble it, you know, all good stuff. So we brought it over here, we assembled it, hooked it on the car, oiled it up, fired it up, let it warm up, let it do its thing. Hour and a half, and it was broken. I'll show you some footage now. Apparently made under license. It's a Honda copy. It's nothing like a Honda engine. It rattles itself to bits. This is the original exhaust pipe. The heat shield came off. Well, all the screws rattled out of the heat shield. It disappeared. Took it off. Then another thing came off. This is the bit that goes across the back. And basically there's a flap on the back, so if the grass is really long, you can open the flap and it throws the grass out further. If the grass is relatively low, you close the flap and it chops it up more. So these are the bolt holes where the flap bolts down. So that goes all the way across the back. Welds are broken at either end. Junk. Now all the time it was working, it did work and it did cut the grass. It just shook itself to bits. It broke welds, the engine, it shook that to pieces, the exhaust came off. It was just an absolute pile of shit. Now the first fault, the bearing, the adjuster wasn't put together correctly, which that isn't part of the assembly when that should already be done. It was put together with no washers, so as the belts are going round, there's nothing to stop the adjuster from loosening itself, and that's why all the belts fell off. I got in touch with a company that supplied it, and they said, oh yeah, we'll send you new belts and bearings, this, that and the other. Anyway, the thing had 3 belts on it and they sent me 2, and I thought, well, this isn't a very good start. You know, first things first, I thought, oh brilliant, they've responded to emails, and then they sent out incorrect part, well, not the full amount of parts that I needed. A lot of backwards and forwards, so then eventually got the right parts. So it's all up and running, and then the engine started falling apart. Now this is a cheap Chinese copy of a Honda engine. So I replaced the engine. We put a Lifan engine. Now a Lifan is an engine that's made under license, and it is a Honda copy, but their quality control's quite good, so I put that on it. The engine was fantastic, but it was just an absolute waste of money. And I have since, I've put videos out saying, do not buy this. It was a Geo Agri. Whether it was a Friday afternoon one or what, I do not know, but it just it was crap. We wasted £2,500. I took the engine off it, sold the engine, luckily, and the rest of it went for scrap. It just wasn't even worth keeping it for scrap metal. It was awful. So that was disaster number 1. You know, all good intentions. I did so much research. Now, with these tow-behind flower mowers, there's a range. They start from 1,500 and they go all the way up to 5,000 plus for a good make. I suppose you get what you pay for. We paid 2,400 for this. That included shipping to France on a pallet. It wasn't fit for purpose. It wasn't fit for anything. Absolute garbage. But there you go. Disaster number 1. Now the second one, it's not so much a disaster. It's just, I'll tell you what happened. We wanted to buy the digger, so we bought the digger, and when we was looking at the digger, he had a little tractor for sale. And I said to Tina, that'd be ideal for you. It's a little 2-wheel drive. It's it was a Suzu M1600, which is the same as a Mitsubishi. So I thought it's a nice little Japanese tractor. It's got a Mitsubishi engine in it, 3-speed PTO. It came with a mower. So we bought that at the same time that we bought the digger. Now the digger has been fantastic. The best bit of kit we've ever bought. With the grapple on, it is phenomenal. You know, the stuff it picks up, you couldn't do it by hand. So that digger has been a godsend, basically. Now, the little tractor we bought with it worked perfectly well. I serviced it up, put a new exhaust pipe on it. It just wasn't man enough for the field. So although it was disaster number 2, it wasn't so much a disaster as it just wasn't man enough. It was 16 horsepower when it was new. I'm not quite sure what year it was, because the history of Suzu is quite... Yeah, you can't find out a lot on the internet. Now, what happened was in Japan years ago, a lot of these little compact tractors like Kubota, Mitsubishi, Yanmar were all sort of sold. Companies could buy them and put their own brand on them. So although it was a Suzu, it was a Mitsubishi. 16 horsepower when it was new. What the horsepower would be at the PTO, 12 if you're lucky. It was 30 years plus old. So, you know, if you're getting 8 to 10 horsepower at the PTO, you're doing well. It wasn't big enough for the job. So I put some clips on so you can see what the tractor was. Tina was quite happy pottering around on it. I got on it. It was a little bit small for me, but I managed to get on it and drive it, cut grass. The finishing mower sort of bit the dust, the bearings seized up. So then what I was doing was towing the flour mower behind it. But then we decided enough's enough. We had the money, so we bought the big tractor we've got now. Having said that, although it was disaster number 2, we made money on that tractor. We paid €2,000 for it, including in the sale with the digger, and we sold it for 2,700. So one of the only times we've made money on something. Anyway, we ended up with the Iseki. That's 27 horsepower, fantastic bit of kit, more than man enough for our land. And we'll keep on top of servicing, maintenance, all that kind of thing, and hopefully keep that going for as long as parts are available. Yeah, fantastic bit of kit. I'll put some footage of that up now as well, so you can have a look at that. Disaster number 3, our drains went to shit. Now, we've got funny old drains here. We've got obviously a fosse septique, which is a septic tank. So all the toilet waste goes into that. Now, the grey water goes off and it goes into a soakaway, which there's a French pipe, there's what they call a French drain, which is just a pipe with slots in it. That runs from the back of our house all the way down the field, and I don't know where it ends because I was still digging when I got down to the fence, and I was still getting to the pipe. Whether it's still on our land or it goes into the field next door, because I think that field next door might have been part of this property at one point. Anyway, it all got blocked up and it backed up, and the grey water from the house, so that's like the kitchen. I think the shower goes into the fosse. Anyway, so the grey water and the gutters, I think, which they shouldn't really go into the same. I don't really know. Our drains are so weird at this house. At the old house, we was on main and sewers, so all the household waste went into the sewers, and the rain went elsewhere into like soakaways and stuff like that. Here, it's a bit higgledy-piggledy. So yeah, we had to dig all those French drains up, unblock them with the pressure washer, put them all back in. Well, I think we laid some gravel down, put the pipes back in, put gravel over the top, and then we put some membrane on the top of that. I think I've got some footage. If I have, I'll put that in, and you can see what we got up to. It was a right messy old job. They're now all working fine. Obviously, our fosse doesn't conform. When we bought the house, you have to have your fosse septic inspected. It doesn't conform because they've got all these new regulations. I'm not quite sure what we need to do to get it to conform, but I don't think we'd have to do it. They're not enforcing us to do anything with the fosse. It might be that we have to have like a filter bed out in the field, which we could do that ourselves. We've got the digger. Just got to get the materials in. If that was the case, I don't know, because the house originally had an outside toilet, so the foss has been added at a later date, and we have dug down to it at one point, but we didn't get right down to it. We just got like to a concrete lid type thing. If any of that footage, if I've got any of that footage, I'll put it in, but if not, you'll have to just take my word for it. So that's it for disasters or things that have gone slightly right. There's probably more, and if I think of it, I'll do another video. But it's not all roses and plain sailing. It's and for us, we just seem to have the worst luck for certain things. Nothing ever goes right for us. Like we've got a leak on the roof. Dad's been out and tried fixing it a couple of times, and it seems to slow it up, and then you get like a lot of rain we've had the other day and it comes in again, and it's, oh God's sake, and we can't afford to put a new roof on it, unless I set up a GoFundMe. Trouble, I don't like asking people for money. I know there's a lot of YouTubers that are like, oh, Patreon, buy me a coffee, this, that and the other. I've got some links in the description if people want to help us out with an Amazon wish list and an Amazon shop. If you want to buy stuff, we get a little bit of commission. But I'm not one that's, but we want money, help us. We got ourselves in this position, and we'll have to get ourselves out of it. But yeah, the links are down there if anyone does want to help out. Very kindly appreciated. But yeah, so there's the roof that's leaking, and just other bits and pieces. But we get there in the end. We're not the quickest of people at getting stuff done. Obviously, I'm in a wheelchair, so that slows me up. Tina's having treatment for cancer. That's slowed her right down. She's really, not struggling, but sort of, it has slowed her up quite a bit compared to last year. Last year, she had surgery, or chemo surgery, radiation, and then she was put on tamoxifen, which sort of knocked her back a little bit. But she had quite a bit of energy, or more energy than she's got now. Now she's on this targeted therapy drugs, and it's like on a cycle, so it's sort of like 3 weeks on, 1 week off. She's on her third lot, and halfway through it's when her mouth, she feels it in her mouth, and other bits and pieces and side effects. So yeah, we do try to do what we can, but it is a struggle. As you can probably appreciate. So I'm not having a moan, we're just sort of, this is life. There's a lot of YouTubers that just put out everything that's like all rosy and it's, you know, everything's right in the world and it all goes great and it does this and does that. It doesn't, you know. We show the bad bits as well as the good bits. It's more often than not more bad than good. But thought I'd just put this video out. We'll have a little laugh. Anyway. That's going to be it for this one. We'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.